Hi, I'm Susan. I am an educational speaker. I am a licensed New York City high school social studies teacher. I worked for the New York City Board of Education in Brooklyn and Manhattan for too many years that I would like to think about, but it gave me a wonderful background in preparing all kinds of different talks on many, many different topics. I adore talking about my favorite topic, history, because history is just his story, the story of humans, what they do, what they accomplish, how they do it, why they do it. Today, I'm speaking at the New Jersey East Brunswick Historical Society in a beautifully repurposed farmhouse, which is one of my passions also, to preserve our wonderful history so that people can see it and enjoy it. My topic today is the trial of Alfred Dreyfus, a Jewish officer in the French army in the late 1890s, early 1900s, who was accused and wrongfully convicted twice of forgery, treason, all kinds of terrible things, imprisoned on Devil's Island, finally came back to France, and his conviction at some point was overturned. The French are smarting because they lost the Franco-Prussian War in 1870. They lost it in 6 months. It was a humiliating defeat. The Army Chief of Staff, the Army General War Council, could not accept that France, the mistress of civilization, the home of Napoleon, could possibly have lost to the Germans, who were just beginning to unify themselves. Clearly, if it was not their fault, how could the Army have been a mistake? It must have been your fault. There must have been a traitor somewhere in the ranks that had done this to them. He was arrested on October 15, 1894. The Minister of War announced in November that he had positive proof of Dreyfus's treason. Why was Dreyfus singled out? What possible motivation could a Jewish man from Alsace-Lorraine, whose entire family had fled after the 1870 war, what possible motivation could he have had for helping the Germans? Ah, you're asking a logical question. There is no logic in this story. Dreyfus was arrested. He was tried in secret. The arrest and the trial was leaked to the French newspapers, and the newspapers blared, "High treason arrest of the Jewish officer, Alfred Dreyfus," using his religion, not his nationality. Right? That was the November 1st, 1894 headline of one of the major newspapers. There were dozens of newspapers at that time. The trial was held in private, a military court. No public access. Dreyfus was denied a lawyer, could not see the evidence against him. He was just simply there. The Minister of War provided the judges with fabricated, incriminating documents. In a week, Dreyfus was convicted and sentenced to being dishonorably discharged from the army and exiled from France. But his trial led to two of the most extraordinary events in all of human history. It was, in fact, the trial of the century. It led to Émile Zola's finest newspaper account called J'accuse, where he published an indictment of what had happened. Journalism's finest hour, the world equivalent of the Watergate Pentagon paper case. In addition, it also led to the founding of the State of Israel, although neither Zola nor Dreyfus nor Herzl lived to see it. So it was an extraordinary event. He wrote down what his investigations were, how he had found the truth out, who had provided various documents to various people. And then at the end, bear with me on this, it was one of journalism's finest hours. Closely reasoned, detailed chronology of the events since Dreyfus' arrest and conviction. The immortal last sentences of this fabulous document. And they all start out with this wonderful I accuse, I accuse. I mean, the repetition, the drumbeat of sound here. I accuse, and he names a major, as the diabolic workman of this miscarriage of justice, and then of defending this miscarriage for 3 years. I accuse General Mercier, remember he was the original guy, for being an accomplice in one of the greatest travesties and iniquities of the century. I accuse, and he names another general, of having held in his hands the unquestionable evidence of Dreyfus's innocence, and of suppressing it guilty of this crime that injures humanity and justice, with a political aim, and to save the compromised chief of the High Command. There were new elections in the 1900s, early 1900s in France, and with continued public pressure, in July 1906, for the first time, a civilian court of appeals, not the army, not the church, set aside the judgment of the court-martial. However, it was not until 1995, you ready for that date? 1995, 100 years later and more, that the French military declared that Dreyfus was innocent. I hope that this motivates whoever is listening and watching this to read about it. Libraries are full of information on it. You will be fascinated and appalled and astonished at really what had happened. I am delighted to be here, and I welcome any inquiries that any of you may have. Thank you so much for listening.